Okay, welcome back, everybody. Hope you're feeling refreshed. Please take your seats. We have a great second round of speakers. So, up next, we have the very wonderful Declan, who has come from Dubai at Atlantis. Now, we were talking about fun facts, and we know that Sarah loves Dolly Parton. Declan has actually met Dolly Parton before at Dollywood. He heard that, him and his friend heard that she loves flowers, and if you bring flowers, she'll talk to you. So they threw the flowers at her, and I think you spoke with Dolly Parton.
She spoke, yes, back at us.
Great fun fact. Please welcome to the stage, Declan.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Alasoum Kalam. Thank you for having me, Content Square. So also my first time in Riyadh. I'm so delighted to be here and really to share our journey at Atlantis Dubai and what we're doing with Content Square and how we're decoding the hospitality digital journey. So I think I'll just start off really with what is Atlantis Dubai for anyone that might not be familiar with what the brand is. Essentially, it's a destination that's comprised of Atlantis the Palm, which is our iconic property that opened on the Palm back in 2008. So this is the original and it's a symbol of Dubai. We also have Atlantis the Royal, which opened earlier on this year. So we had a big star-studded event and a lot of famous faces there. So this is our sister property, which is a little bit more upmarket and about more luxurious experiences. We also have a water park and we've got a very large culinary destination. So truly, Atlantis Dubai is a global brand, and I think that's what makes us slightly different. Oh, sorry, I think I went too far. So last year we welcomed 2.5 million people from all around the world, and for us that's important because it means that our digital assets are global and we're trying to interact with digital experiences and people from different cultures all around the world. So I'm going to jump into now what we're doing to decode our digital journey. I'm not sure why it's such a dramatic effect on the slide, maybe because it was Halloween yesterday. But Gareth earlier on spoke about the different touch points that some companies have, how many touch points their customers would face. I think he mentioned 6, so try having 127, which is literally off the charts. So there's so many different travel surveys out there that give us some insight. So from Google Hotels to Expedia to TravelClick, range of different feedback that we get. So some cases it can take 89 days from initially deciding that you want to go on holidays to actually booking that holiday. We also have an average of about 32 websites that someone would visit on that particular journey. So that could be online travel agents, the Atlantis Direct website, also blogs as well. And then the touch points, this is where it gets quite complicated because naturally we have social media accounts, we have blogs, we've got words of mouth, we've also got phone calls as well. So this is the backdrop digitally that we're trying to operate within. So a bit more in terms of what our challenges are. So what's different for us is that we effectively sell a product that disappears every single day. We've got 2,200 hotel room nights, we've got 6,000 water park tickets, and we have 10,000 F&B covers that have to be sold every single day. If we don't sell that today, I can't sell it tomorrow, and you can't oversell on any given day. So that means that we really have to offer the best possible digital experiences to our customers to maximize how and what we sell online. We also have to stand out in a very competitive digital landscape, I think in terms of what our competitors are doing with OTAs and what they invest. And also, it's a very long consideration and pre-arrival phase. So I've spoken earlier about the different steps that someone might take before they book, but the other factor that we have to contend with is that there's a long lead time between booking and coming. So you might have a country like Australia that would book their holiday and come in 6 months' time. The UK would book and come in 3 months. And here our friends in Saudi will book and come in 10 days. They're that quick, and that's also what we have to factor in. And we also have a lot of people that would book online, and if they're coming in 2-3 months' time, they would come back to the website again and they would search their holiday to see if the prices are changed. So that's where it's super important for us to give them the right experience when they come back the second time, that the first message they see isn't a sale, so they're not cancelling and rebooking at a lower rate. So we're on a journey from our side in terms of our tech stack and what we want to achieve. I know talking to Sarah earlier from Shellhoop, we're all on this journey to composable. We've been through the monolithic and the microlithic stages, and it's all about composable. So we're working with Like Digital on our website development and our tech roadmap. And one thing I'm always curious about is what other kind of tech stack that companies have. So from our side, we're leaning into content stack as a CMS. So we're trying to spin up our digital assets and websites a lot faster. Our core CRM system that we've used for many years now is Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Obviously, Content Square had to get a mention. Our CDP is Telium, and we're also using Monetate for our digital experiences and all our A/B testing. So then, really, when we took on Content Square about 9 months ago, essentially we were trying to answer all our key questions through analytics. And that was really, what are our customers doing on the website? What exactly is the path to conversion that they take? When do they drop off? Why do they drop off? And obviously, how do we prevent these from happening? Another thing that we wanted to really kind of tackle head on is that we all work in organizations with many different stakeholders, is absolutely everybody has an opinion. So when you have a website, it's super visible, anybody can access it any time of the day. So when someone says, hey, let's put a sale here, or let's move the CTA there, really what we want to do is be like, well, actually, no, this is the fact, this is what we checked, and this is actually what our customers want, or this is what we feel will drive revenue. And of course, we're here with Content Square. Just one of the reasons why we went with them is that we were particularly interested in the session recordings, so understanding what users do through watching the videos. The customer journey mapping tool is really, really easy to use, especially the visualizations. And also the error messaging and customer reporting, we found it quite beneficial. So, a little bit dramatic as well. Our first insight to us was groundbreaking as a business. So we didn't really know what our customers did on our website when they came, but it turns out our customers did know what they wanted when they came. So you can see the different kind of streams here. So for us, it means that if a customer of Atlantis the Royal, Atlantis the Palm, or Aquaventure came onto the website, they actually knew what they wanted and they stayed in that particular product track. So what we thought was happening was people were searching for availability in different properties, and we thought they were looking at F&B as part of the consideration. So none of that was happening. So on the back of this insight, it really helped us understand how we were going to lay out our pages, how we were going to speak to our customers, and so forth. So I've got a couple of fun tests that we've run. So we've actually got some of the QR code polling. So I'll jump into the first one with rooms. So very, very big question for us here is how do we present the room sort order? So our brand teams are very effective at driving qualified traffic to the website, and we get them to search for availability once they land. But what can we do to maximize the chance of somebody making a booking? So here we've got a simple question. When someone lands and searches for availability, what should they see first? Should they see the featured room over on the left, or should they see our entry-level room, which is still a fantastic room, but maybe not as dreamy and as aspirational as having a terrace and a private pool outside? So if you, I think I got this. Yes, if you want to actually just scan the QR code here and tell me from a customer perspective, what do you think customers would like to see? So is it featured room first, or is it just very practical, your entry-level room with the price from lowest right up to highest? And I think it's going to appear live as people vote in real time. Okay, featured room is in the lead. Okay, least expensive is rapidly gaining. I'll give everybody a couple more seconds to vote. This is nerve-wracking or not. Okay, I feel like it's catching up. Okay, almost 50-50. I will move on. Basically, featured room first one. For those that selected it, congrats. The results were just fantastic from our side. I mean, our conversion was up 6%. Our average order value was 10% higher. Of course, it's a very expensive room, so you would expect that. And also the average revenue per session was quite high. But what's quite interesting is that the other side, so over here for the least expensive room first, it actually did quite well from a customer perspective. So it had more engagement, it had less of a bounce rate, and more users progressed, but ultimately they didn't book. But from our side, it was a fantastic test. And quite interestingly, Anne-Marie mentioned about failing and celebrating this in her slides. We don't celebrate failure in Atlantis. So this test lost money. I didn't tell anybody. And then I just moved on to the next thing. So I think I've got some good insight there to be able to share this back with teams and not cover up things that don't work, because we can obviously learn from those types of tests as well. So another thing as well is cancellation policy. Super boring, but I think it's the bread and butter of booking a holiday. Sometimes it's important to know what happens if your plan change. So is this something that guests would like to see? From our side, really, the booking hypothesis was if you have anxiety about spending a lot of money on a trip, to understand when you can cancel and if you get your money back, it should ultimately boost conversion rates, because we're helping customers make an informed decision, and should something go wrong, it would actually put them in a better position because they know where they stand. So again, if you want to just scan the QR code here, and from a guest perspective, is this something that you feel they would like to see in the booking process? Okay, we're at 100% yes, the first person that voted. Okay, cancellation policy is popular. Okay, 95% of people, or 96 actually want to see this. Oh, sorry, I keep on going forward. As it happens, nobody wants to see this. We're having a much higher conversion rate when you don't actually see this. You also have a much higher average order value and a reduced bounce rate. So moving on to the water park, we just have a couple examples of tests that we ran as well and how they've kind of worked for us. Here we wanted to understand what was the impact of customer reviews in the booking process. Super simple test, and what we did was we just took some reviews from some top review websites like TripAdvisor or Facebook and Google, and we just added them into the booking journey. So very subtle difference, but in terms of what we got back, it was like an outsized impact. Really, there was a 7% increase in conversion and a massive reduction in bounce rate as well. And I guess one point that I'd like to get across is that sometimes it's the simple changes that you make that can have the biggest impact. I think Ahmed mentioned at the start about having a frictionless customer journey through your booking process. So over here where it says select your activities, we noticed on Content Square that a lot of customers were getting quite annoyed, a lot of rage clicks, a lot of people that were just like, I'm done with this, and they were moving on. So we removed it, as you can see over here, and this is where we saw the biggest impact. Across the board, like really positive metrics. So sometimes we lock ourselves in a room and we brainstorm and strategize about what we want to do, but sometimes it's just those simple things that can be the most effective. It's not always about the most complicated or the most difficult use cases. Here with Aquaventure, I think over on the left, being a mobile first response, we're all quite familiar with that range of where your thumb naturally reaches if you're holding the phone with one hand. So in theory, the red top zone, like forget about it, your finger can't naturally reach there. So when we were designing this website, it was all about being mobile first. So we weren't sure how it was going to be received, so we anyway put in book or buy tickets on top, and we also have tickets at the bottom. So what turns out is that on top, which technically is the area you can't reach that easily, has a 20% conversion rate or a click rate, and then at the bottom is 9%, which we didn't really expect to see. So we're following best-in-class design principles. So I think here there's probably a bit more testing that we have to do with visibility and with color as well. So sticking with the theme of understanding and trying to decode your digital journey, some of the things that we do is really understanding each of our metrics and our journey stats. So while it sounds quite simple in theory, in practice, trying to build real-time dashboards that give you that insight can be quite complicated. So this is an example from the water park. So here we know that by time of the day when users are browsing on the website, and we know then when they're searching, and we know when they're booking. So based on that, it informs us us across a range of different strategies. So it means that you can push whatever message is going to convert at that particular time. It helps you also with how you target your customers from a paid media, when you post your social posts and when you send your emails. And then just to close that out as well, understanding what they do when they purchase. And sometimes what I like to look at is what customers don't do as opposed to what they do. So if you know what you don't want them to do, it can be quite interesting. For example, 80,000 people searched for availability and never came back again. That's not something I want customers to do. Obviously, I want them to search and convert within that or in the next session. So by following key metrics like that, it actually can be quite helpful. So just a couple more slides, some food for thought in terms of how else we're using Content Square. So in terms of session recording, it's not always about the qualitative data that you get. Sometimes it can be just as important to actually sit there and watch the session recordings and try and get into the mindset of the customer. It's very important to see why are they doing what they're doing, especially for high value booking flows. So a couple of months back, we actually did a partnership with a very big US credit card company. So after 3 days, we realized there was no conversions from this campaign. We had signed a mega expensive contract. I started freaking out, thinking someone didn't send an email, there's a problem with the campaign. I started watching the session recordings from the landing page. It turned out that there was a glitch in our finance system and we weren't accepting this credit card. Literally took 20 minutes to fix. The second it was fixed, the conversion started coming, and I think no one knew about it. So Anne-Marie, I need to share these things a little bit more internally. Also, page zoning from our perspective, it might be the bread and butter for what Content Square offer, but it's super important just to understand the core elements on your website and what is driving conversions. So what is your time to click? What's your exposure rate? What's your attractiveness rate of components that are at the bottom of the page that are seen and have a high click-through? So when we're working with teams internally, from our brand teams right up to senior management, it's the basics of what we share back, and it helps them understand how they should actually lay out their page and structure it correctly. And then in terms of social proofing, it's something that we're not currently doing a lot of, and it's something that I really want to get into. So over the next 6 months or so, we're going to start trying things like trending now, 20 people are viewing this product, selling fast, just to understand from these social proof points what the impact would be on conversion. So just to recap really, in terms of decoding our digital journey, we're very much data-driven, driven by stats and understanding what's happening on the website at any given point in time. And for us, it's really the challenge of standing out and to offer the best digital experience to our customers. And it's also about going that little bit deeper and trying to understand the true motivation behind why a user or a person does what they do on the website. So for us, it's just keep calm and keep testing. So thank you for your time, and I hope you found it informative, and I'll be here after if there's any questions.